Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Vibe and Flow podcast. I am really, really excited for today's conversation with Chloe Stickings. Is that how you say it?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am so excited for this conversation. Chloe is a women's pelvic health coach and lymph teacher. And so we're going to dive into all these things related to pelvic health and the lymphatic system and why you should be paying attention to those and what it actually means to, pay attention to your lymphatic system, how you can support it, and what are the benefits of that. And I just love her content around pelvic health, lymphatic work, menstrual cycle awareness, and the way she advocates for toxin-free women's products. And the fact that, for example, I remember when you posted about pubic hair being a necessary part of a woman's body and that it serves a purpose. And I was like, yes, that's right. We need more women talking about these things. Maybe it's just that they feel kind of taboo or something like that. I don't know, but it's just really important that we talk about our pelvic region and why there's stuff there and how it's serving us, why it serves a purpose. So really excited to have you here, Chloe. um Tell us a little bit why this work that you do. Why do you have this passion for pelvic health, and where do you come from and all that good stuff?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited to have been asked to come on to your podcast today. And that was a really lovely introduction as well. So thank you so much for that. Yeah, so my name is Chloe, and like most practitioners and people who work in like the health field, I really came to this work through my own personal experience and my own personal struggles with pelvic health symptoms. So I had a big struggle with chronic UTIs, with interstitial cystitis, with painful intercourse, with painful orgasms, with heavy periods, painful periods, you name it, all of the symptoms that occurred in my pelvic region. And yeah, I've really been on a journey for the last 5 years-ish, healing my own body and then also wanting to help other women who have been through the same experiences that I have and who have maybe been dismissed by doctors or haven't had the help that they have needed from the medical profession. And yeah, I'm just really passionate about women's health being taken seriously and pelvic health being taken seriously. And like you say, speaking about all the things that we don't usually speak about, things like pubic hair that might feel a little bit taboo or a little bit awkward or uncomfortable to talk about. I love talking about those things. So yeah.
That's amazing. And it's so true. I think a lot of women feel like they're being dismissed by doctors or their GPs when if they have any concerns around these topics. And it's really a shame how we're not taught how to support our system, in general, with starting with our hormones and everything, but going into the pelvic region and everything that goes down there. It's it's so sterile, sort of, so to speak. I don't know. It feels like we're not even supposed to have this organic, intuitive, empowered relationship with our pelvic region, our pelvic floor, the pelvic bowl in general, which is the seat of our feminine power in like within our biology, where we have our womb and and the vagina. And it's just incredible how all that works. But most women walk around not even realizing how much power they have there and how the body wants to heal. So, in your experience with UTIs specifically, and all of these symptoms that you had, because I've had discussions with women who um, are experiencing that, you know, at this minute, there's something going on, they're healing from either a vaginismus or chronic UTIs or this chronic tension that they have in their pelvic region. Where did you start, and where would you guide a woman dealing with something similar to start?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I think for me, my journey of really coming home to my body and coming home to my feminine power, my cyclical nature, really started with coming off of hormonal birth control. So when I started experiencing chronic UTIs, I had the copper IUD, and that was causing a lot of my symptoms. That was playing a huge role in a lot of my symptoms and a lot of like the hormonal imbalances that were going on. So having that removed was like this massive step in my health journey, really returning to my cycle and just like allowing myself to become as natural as possible and to like regulate my hormones in the most natural way possible. And then beyond that, things like healing my gut. I've done a lot of work with my gut health as well, which is so connected to chronic UTIs. I had a lot of E. coli infections in my gut, and when we have E. coli infections in our bladder, that can be a massive sign that we have E. coli in our gut as well. So really healing my gut health has been massive as well.
Okay, right. So isn't it so that the hormonal birth control, it does affect our gut in
Yes.
a negative way? So there's a connection there that you saw when you stopped using hormonal birth control, that it has an effect on the gut and then allows you to heal your gut.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Hormonal birth control depletes so many vitamins, minerals, nutrients, and things like that. And there's a big link between things like taking hormonal birth control and things like Crohn's disease, depression, and that kind of thing that really comes from the gut as well.
Mm.
Yeah.
What did you start doing to sort of heal your gut? Some things that you started to implement to eat differently, or what was going on there?
Yeah, so for me, I was already eating quite a restricted diet. I was trying to eat as cleanly as possible. I don't really like that word, but I wasn't eating junk food or anything like that, and I was eating dairy free and gluten free, and really trying my best to look after my body. For me, parasite cleansing was a really massive part of my gut healing journey. So, yeah, parasite cleansing, which really helped me to remove things like candida and like E. coli infections and any kind of bacterial overgrowth as well. Like getting it all out of my body, getting all the bad guys out of my body really helped to rebalance my gut and completely change like my gut health, completely change my health in
Right.
general.
Yeah, exactly. So cleaning out those parasites from your system, yeah, it's a big thing, right? Is there like one thing that you could mention that helped you with that specifically?
Um, for me, I used the Cellcore brand of parasite cleansing, and that's the one that I would recommend the most, just because it works beyond the gut as well and helps to cleanse the liver and cleanse the womb, and it cleanses parasites from the whole body. A lot of people don't realize that we can hold parasites in our womb and we can pass parasites through our period blood and things like that. So it was really important to me that I, you know, looked at my whole body rather than just the gut.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, it's always holistic.
Yeah.
Right. So, in terms of lymphatic work, let's assume that the listener doesn't really understand or know what that even means. So, how would you give the 101 on lymphatic work? What is it and why should we do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think a good place to start would be talking about what the lymphatic system is in general, because so many of us have not heard of the lymphatic system. It's something that is completely overlooked by so many doctors and so many like healthcare professionals. I studied healthcare at university and we were taught nothing about the lymphatic system
Right.
at all. So the lymphatic system is a drainage system in the body, and it looks pretty much exactly like our veins and like our venous system. And that we have lymph all over our entire body. So everywhere that we have blood, everywhere that we have skin, we have these veins that carry our lymphatic fluid and our lymph around our bodies. A lot of people are quite surprised to know that we have lymph in our teeth, that we have it in our eyes, absolutely everywhere in our bodies except in our hair and in our nails. And the job of the lymphatic system is really to remove anything that we don't need anymore, anything that is not serving the body, anything like inflammation, toxins, bacteria, fungi, parasites, anything that is, bad for our bodies. And when our lymphatic system is not working properly, those things that it is designed to remove can build up in the body, particularly in the case of inflammation. When inflammation builds up in the body, we can get a lot of different symptoms, most often things like pain. And when we're talking about lymphatic work, we're really talking about moving the lymph and um, most of the time using our hands to massage our bodies, to open up our lymphatic system, to get the lymph moving through our bodies so that everything can be removed and we don't have that build up of the bad guys, the bad stuff in our bodies anymore.
Right. Yes, exactly. So it is the body's drainage system, right? And it's really, really important.
Yes.
So you've mentioned that there can actually be a correlation or a connection between headaches, recurring headaches, and the lymphatic system. So can you speak a little into that? What do you mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I mentioned, we have a lot of lymph all over our body, particularly a lot in our head and our neck. And when that lymph does not drain properly from our head, from our brains, and down our necks and out of our bodies, we can experience many, many different symptoms, things like headaches, migraines, fatigue, brain fog, even things like anxiety and depression, which are all really just due to a buildup of inflammation and a buildup of fluid in our brains. So particularly things like pressure headaches or tension headaches, it's really just a buildup of lymphatic fluid and lymph that has not been removed effectively from the brain. So many people find that they'll have a headache the next morning if they haven't slept very well. And that is because when we're asleep, our brain drains lymph from um, the previous day and drains all of the cellular waste that it has produced from the previous day. And when we don't get a good night's sleep, the lymph from our brain doesn't drain properly. And then we get things like headaches and migraines. So it really is lymphatic system based and inflammation based a lot of the time. And yeah, that's one of the reasons why I love lymphatic work as well, because we can treat things like headaches without using, pharmaceutical drugs, things like paracetamol and ibuprofen, and actually get to the root cause of why the headache is occurring in the first place.
Yeah, that really resonates. I've had a lot of like tension headaches, and it's not obviously all the time that, but sometimes I notice that the tension really just creeps up on me, and it it's really it's a nasty feeling when you feel this tension, especially at the back, what is like like
Yeah,
the
I
root
can
of the
see
skull.
where
Yeah,
you're putting your hand, you have so much lymph on the back of your neck there.
really.
In that little dip in the
Yeah,
back of
exactly.
your skull, yeah, lots and lots of lymph in that area. So that's a really, really common place to get a headache.
Mm. So if this is something that a listener is dealing with, what would you recommend?
I would first of all recommend drinking plenty of water. So I didn't mention at the beginning that our lymphatic system is mostly made up of water. And of course, like drinking plenty of water, drinking really good quality water is really, really supportive of your lymphatic system. I also really, really recommend a manual lymphatic massage. So, this is something that I teach my clients to do on their own bodies and to do at home by themselves so that they can open up their lymphatic system to allow all of the lymph to drain away easily. Like while they're at their desk or while they're out and about or as they're going through their day.
Yeah, that's really good. Do you think that movement in general is helping the lymphatic system?
Yeah, definitely. The lymphatic system loves any kind of movement at all, like any exercise. It doesn't have to be going to the gym. It doesn't have to be, working out with a personal trainer. It can be just walking. It can be walking up and down the stairs in your house. It can be dancing around in a really silly way to your favorite song. Any movement is really, really great for the lymphatic system. Sometimes it's not enough to just move when the lymphatic system is really, really blocked up. We need to really like get our hands and into individual areas for different people.
Right.
But yeah, in general, any kind of movement is great for moving the lymphatic system.
Yeah, exactly. So in terms of pelvic lymphatics, where do we start? What are we looking at really?
Yeah, that's such a great question. So, the three places in the body where we hold the most lymph are in our neck, in our gut, and also in our groin area. So, it's really the gut and the groin that we're looking at when we're talking about pelvic lymphatics. And those are the areas of the body where inflammation and lymph can really, really build up that can impact our pelvic health. So, um, when we, like, in a really, really basic sense, when we don't have lymph being removed and lymph flowing from our pelvic areas, we can build up inflammation, which can lead to things like pain, period pain, bladder pain, any kind of pain. Also, when we're talking about lymph flow, we're also really talking about blood flow as well. And if our lymph is not flowing and taking away all of the bad guys, all of the waste, our blood flow is not able to bring all of the nutrients and bring all of the oxygen into those areas as well. So our cells and our tissues are not receiving oxygen, nutrients, and they're not able to regenerate and renew. So when it comes to like our periods and like our menstrual cycle, we can be holding so much old like cellular waste, old cells, old tissue in our pelvis, which can really, really contribute to a lot of stagnation in general, a lot of pain, a lot of cramping as our wombs try to remove and almost overcompensate for the lymphatic system, try to remove all of that old waste from our bodies. Um, I could talk about it for a really, really long time, but yeah.
Yeah, that is so interesting. And I think with like in general, we have a lot of tension in our pelvic region, like in our hips. We sit so much, we're stationary so much, and then added on to that that we don't understand how the lymphatic system works and how to support our bodies in general. So if someone is dealing with a lot of chronic tension down there, where would you like start with this woman?
The first thing that comes to mind is what you've just mentioned about sitting a lot during the day. It's really important to bring movement, bring stretching into your daily routine. And when you are sitting, or if you have got a job or you have a day coming up where you are going to be sitting down a lot, I would really recommend wearing loose clothing instead of, skinny jeans or really, really tight underwear that is gonna like restrict any blood flow and lymph flow from going to your pelvis. So I know that you're really interested in like clothing and bras and things like that for the lymphatic system. Any kind of tight clothing is restricting our lymphatic system. So we just want our bodies to be able to breathe and move and flow as easily as possible, especially if we are in quite a contracted sitting position. Um, our breath is also really, really important. So breathing properly. When we breathe through our mouth, we are not breathing deeply into our respiratory diaphragm. We breathe quite shallowly down into our chest. And so small changes like breathing through your nose, breathing deeply down into your respiratory diaphragm, then has an impact on your pelvic diaphragm, brings a lot more movement into your respiratory and your pelvic diaphragms, which then increases like blood flow, lymph flow, and almost gives your pelvic diaphragm and your pelvis this really gentle internal massage all day long, which can really help to release tension and just kind of relax everything down there as well.
Yeah, that's so cool. And I feel like we hear so much about breathing, like breathe, you should breathe. And I talk about it all the time. And I feel like women are sometimes like, yeah, I know, like I've heard this a million times. I am breathing, but we don't actually realize that, yeah, it's actually creating that internal massage when you're breathing. Like we don't think about that. It feels a little, wow, okay, really. But yeah, we're just so used to breathing in a shallow way and being disconnected from our bodies. So, in terms of UTIs, is there some connection with the tension piece in your view?
Yeah, definitely. When our pelvic diaphragms are holding too much tension and really, really tight, it can be a struggle to fully empty the bladder. And it's almost like because there's so much tension down there, we can't fully relax those muscles to fully empty the bladder. So what can happen is like a little bit of urine can be left behind, and yeah, then we can get like UTIs if we're not fully emptying our bladder like time and time and time again.
Mm. Is there anything else that someone, if someone is dealing with UTIs, should like consider?
I think something that really comes to my mind is tracking your UTIs with your cycle as well, because I noticed a pattern with my UTIs and my menstrual cycle. A lot of women tend to get UTIs around ovulation because estrogen is higher around ovulation. And when estrogen is higher, inflammation is higher, histamine can also be higher. And we can kind of have almost like this irritation and this inflammation and this um almost like an allergic reaction with with the increase in histamine in our bladder, which is just like a big cocktail for a UTI to occur.
Mm.
So definitely tracking your UTIs with your cycle if you can, just to see if there is any pattern there. And UTIs around ovulation can be a sign of estrogen dominance as well.
Right. And you've mentioned something about combining lymph work with your inner summer, so ovulation. So is this why? Is this why you're recommending that?
Yeah, definitely. Not just for UTIs, but just for anyone who might be experiencing any symptoms at all around ovulation, things like headaches or bloating or nausea or anxiety, whatever the symptom is, it's often down to high estrogen and then also high inflammation. So doing lymphatic work is a really, really great way to support your body not only to remove inflammation, but also able to remove excess estrogen through lymphatic work as well.
Right. So how do you do lymphatic work with that region of your body?
Pretty much how you do lymphatic work with any region of your body. So, for me, I love using my hands. It's really, really important for me to use my hands to get really, really deep and to be able to press a lot more deeply into like the tissues there. A lot of people have heard about like dry brushing for the lymphatic system, which I love and is a really, really great way to support your lymphatic system. But when you're dry brushing, you're really only targeting the superficial lymphatics that are
Right.
just below the skin. And when we're using our hands, we're targeting a lot more like deeper lymph and the lymph that is much more entwined with organs and just much more deeply set in the body. So personally, I like to use a combination of dry brushing and then manual lymph massage with my hands as well.
Right. So and that is like you're doing it with your groin area
Yeah,
specifically.
yeah, groin and gut, because a lot of what happens in the gut affects the pelvis. Things like our gut microbiome, it affects our vaginal microbiome and things like that. So yeah, it's really, really important to focus on the gut as well as the pelvis. And a lot of our emotions can be held in our gut as well. So when we're doing lymphatic work, we're not only moving things on a physical level, but we're also moving things emotionally as well. If you think about the lymphatic system being made up of a lot of water, water is like the element of emotions. When we're working our lymphatic system in our gut, we're really able to move these emotions and like move the energy through our bodies as well. And in particular, we have the largest lymph node in the body in our gut. And that is a really, really sore place for a lot of women, like physically sore to touch. And that lymph node is a place in the body where we can store a lot of shame, a lot of grief, a lot of these emotions that are really, really hard for us to feel as women. Um, so a lot of the time when we're doing the lymphatic work through the gut, we can release these emotions that could be impacting our pelvic health and impacting symptoms like period pains and UTIs as well.
Right. So how do you do a lymphatic gut massage? Just, some specifics. You don't have to give everything away. I know that I would recommend working with Chloe if this is something that you are dealing with, but if there's something to start with, how would you guide a woman to, start massaging their gut area and also the groin area?
Yeah, absolutely. So, first of all, I always guide my clients through literally massaging their gut and massaging their groin. And when we're getting our fingers in and massaging these areas, we're really bringing everything up to the surface and bringing everything, like almost like loosening everything up. And then once we've done that, we bring in like a vibration. So there's a lot of tapping involved. And this vibration, it's almost like the analogy that I use quite a lot with my clients is like if you have a bottle of sauce and you're kind of trying to tap the bottle of sauce and you're trying to tap the sauce down to drain to get the last drops of ketchup or something out of
Right.
the bottle, you're creating that vibration which is then draining the liquid down. And that's exactly what we do with lymphatic work. So we massage to kind of bring everything up to the surface and loosen everything up, and then we bring in this tapping motion which allows everything to actually drain down and drain out of the body as well.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. So where exactly is the lymph node that's in our gut?
So it's just below your sternum, about 2 inches above your belly button, right in the middle. So
Oh, okay.
if anyone is familiar with the chakra system, it's basically where your solar plexus is, which I love because there's so many connections between the solar plexus and like the emotional side of the solar plexus and the emotional side of the cisterna chyli, which is the largest lymph node in the body. So a lot of women will actually feel some tenderness when they feel around that area of the body. And if you feel around your gut about 2 inches above your belly button, kind of in the center of your gut, you might feel a little bit of resistance, like a little bit of pushback. And that's and if it's sore as well, that's when you know that you found it.
Oh, okay. So it's like right below your rib cage, but above your belly button.
Yeah. It's kind of it's a difficult one to explain.
It is. It is. It would be
Yeah.
easier to show. I get it, but it's just yeah. So 2 inches above your belly button. Because when I press somewhere around there, I do feel a bit of this sensation of tenderness,
Mm, yeah. I
and I've
think
never really thought
most
about that.
women, yeah, it's very, very common. It's a very difficult place in the body to drain as well. If you think like it's really easy to move your arms and your legs, but how do we really move our gut? Like
Yeah.
it's difficult.
Right. So is that then why, for example, in Pilates or yoga, you do these twists that are, they always say that it helps your digestion. Is that somehow, does it have something to do with, the drainage system that is right there when you twist your body right in the middle, like you're going in two different directions with your body?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's amazing for your gut lymphatics. And even poses like a bridge pose can be really, really great for that area of the body, just to kind of um almost like that incline. It gives your body like a different angle, and then gravity really helps to drain everything down from there.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So you mentioned dry brushing, and you also mentioned that it's great, but it's surface level work. It doesn't really go deep into the tissues, but in terms of that, because I love doing it as well. And is there any like tips that you could give, like how to use a dry brush?
Yeah, definitely. So before I start dry brushing or before I do any lymph work, I always massage above my collarbones first, because that is like the main exit point for all lymph through the body. So just spending about 30 seconds massaging left to right along the tops of your collarbones, before you dry brush is my number one tip for just getting the most out of your dry brushing, because if this area above your collarbones is blocked up, your dry brushing is going to be for nothing, basically, because the lymph has nowhere to exit and the lymph has nowhere to leave your body. Apart from that, dry brushing towards your heart is again a number one tip. I see so many people on Instagram and YouTube not doing this and doing it in circles or doing it wrong. So always towards your heart. And I don't like to dry brush my gut or my back. I know a lot of people do, but for me it's not deep enough, it's not powerful enough, and we really need to get our fingers into our guts.
Okay, right. So even with your legs, you sort of, if I'm starting with my, because I'm thinking about myself now doing it every Saturday before sauna. And I start with my legs, right? And with my calves and my shins, and I'm going upwards with the strokes.
Yeah.
And the same thing then with your thighs, you're, stroking towards your groin area, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then upwards. And then with your arms, it's then towards your armpits.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And how long do you usually do it? Is it something that takes a long time?
I don't think I think it depends on how deeply you want to go. You can do it really quickly and do the whole body in like a minute if you're in a rush. You can spend a lot more time on it if you want to. There's no real rules as such, and I know that some people are really really busy. Some people can only manage a minute a day, and if that's or a minute a time, and if that's what you know you do just to get it in, that's completely fine. For me, I like to go over each area of the body like 3 to 5 times. So over each piece of skin, like at least 3 to 5 times. And you might see that your skin is like a little bit pink, a little bit red. That's actually a really, really good sign that some inflammation is being removed from that area as well.
Mm, yeah, that's really good. So you've mentioned that the lymphatic system and the progesterone hormone coincide somehow. So what do you mean by that?
Yeah, so I know that I've spoken quite a lot about the lymphatic system removing things from our body, removing inflammation and toxins and taking all of those things away. But also the lymphatic system plays a big role in regulating our hormones, like circulating our hormones around our body. So a lot of the time I see people who have low progesterone symptoms, and it's actually just because their lymphatic system is backed up and their progesterone is not able to flow around the body in their lymphatic system effectively. So our lymphatic system carries our progesterone around to all of the different areas of our bodies, but if we do have any blockages in our lymphatic system, then obviously that can't happen, and that's how we can get some hormonal imbalances or some hormonal symptoms.
Right. So one more reason to, start doing that, the massage and the dry brushing and the movement and hydration and all of it.
Yeah,
So,
definitely really important for women
yes,
in particular. Yeah.
yes, absolutely. So what about bras? What's your
Yeah,
take on them?
I am not going to pretend that I don't wear a bra. Like I do wear bras. I wear underwire bras if there's a special occasion, or if I'm going out for dinner or something like that. I mean, like I'm an F cup. I need a bra a lot of the time. But in terms of are they good for your lymphatic system, then the answer is no, they're not. They're not good for your lymphatic system, and I try to wear soft bras as much as possible to give my lymph a chance to really move and not to restrict any blood flow or any lymph flow. And for me, when I'm working out as well, or if I'm exercising, that is a time where it's really, really important for me to either not wear a bra or to wear like a really soft, really loose, kind of comfortable bra that is not restricting any lymphatic drainage that might be occurring whilst I'm exercising. I know a lot of women wear bras, 24/7. They wear bras in bed and whilst they're sleeping, and that is definitely something that I would not recommend. I personally try to wear one as little as possible, just because we have so much lymph around our breasts and under our arms and around like the pectoral area. And when we are restricting that with any tight clothing at all, it could be like a corset, it could be a bra, then yeah, we're blocking our lymphatic system, and we are like it's an ideal way for like cysts, like breast cysts and that kind of thing to form if the lymphatic system can't flow through our breasts properly.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's something that I've been trying to attend to as well. And obviously, I don't also, I'm not able to not wear a bra at all times. Sometimes you have to wear a bra, I think. At least if in this society, there's, that you have times when you have to wear a bra. And if it's a special occasion, for example, but especially at home, I try not to. Um, and I think this is actually something that COVID brought about when, lockdown first happened. And that was my sort of no bra season that started then with COVID when we were at home so much. And it's interesting because personally for me, I'd been so insecure with my breasts that I wanted to wear a bra at all times because I have like smaller breasts. And it was a security blanket in many ways. And because I didn't have really this intimate, beautiful relationship with my body at the time, it was something that I would hold on to, like at home, everywhere. I would wear a bra. Well, not when I'm sleeping, but otherwise all the time. And with COVID, it was so interesting when I realized that once I started not wearing a bra at home, most days it would be a bra free life then for the time being. It was so liberating. And at the same time, I was working on my connection with my body, my cyclical nature, my sensuality. And it really liberated me from a lot of like insecurity and these false ideas about my body and how it should look at all times with clothes and I don't know, it's so it feels like it's a bit shallow, but I believe that a lot of women deal with this if they feel like they need to look a certain way and certain like curves need to look a certain way. And there's a lot of that insecurity there or ideas about what you should look like, and being without a bra is somehow unnatural, even though it's the complete opposite. But yeah, this is my little tangent on on bra free life and how it actually helped me a lot with my relationship with myself to be at home, be without a bra, and learn to love my body for what it is. And
Yeah.
it was just a beautiful journey for me to get into my sensuality, get into my body, and really accept my body as it is. And then from that place, it's so much easier to, take care of yourself. Even with like the lymphatic work that we've been talking about, the massage and all of that, like massaging your breasts. I believe you probably do that as well for lymphatic health, which is a beautiful practice, not only for your lymphatic system and for its health, but also to get connected with your heart, to get connected with your sensuality and this beautiful womanhood that you have and your sexuality even. It's something that I recommend to everyone to get really intimate with their own bodies. But yeah, that was just my little spiel on that.
I loved it. I loved it though. And I definitely resonated with a lot of what you were saying. And for me, even doing the lymphatic gut massage has really helped me to love my stomach a lot more. Even when I first started doing this, I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to touch my stomach. And
Yeah.
like I mentioned with the tapping, it's like it's not the most flattering thing to do to your stomach to tap your stomach and see how it wobbles and moves. And there's a lot that can come up with like the relationship to your body and how your body looks and how it moves. And I really do feel like doing this lymphatic massage with my breasts, with my stomach, has really allowed me to love my body and just to really like spend time with my body and just like, yeah, just even it's so weird how we don't even touch our bodies as much as we should.
Mm. Oh yeah, absolutely. That's been coming up with women in my private coaching. It's with each of them and the women that I've interviewed. It's a constant theme that's coming up. How we've sort of felt really weird about touching our own bodies and having this odd avoidant relationship with it. And then when we start, massaging and touching ourselves with love, with tenderness, with care and gentleness, and how that surprises women in the way that it is a transformative thing to do with your relationship with yourself. And that's so true, like with the tapping when things are wobbling or jiggling, and it might feel like it's not very flattering, or it might feel a bit insecure, might feel insecure doing it. But truly, once you start doing it, at least from my experience, like you said as well, it it just it transforms your relationship with yourself, and you start seeing how wonderful it is to have this body of yours and how it deserves all of your love and attention, how miraculous it is for what it does all day long, and how beautiful the female body is without all the uh, awful expectations that we put on ourselves and the unnatural images that we see on a day-to-day basis. But yes, go ahead, like massage yourself, touch yourself. It's a beautiful thing. And go bra free as much as you can.
Yeah.
So, Chloe, before you go, I would love to know, what do you really cherish about being a woman?
Oh my goodness. This is such a great question. I really, really cherish my menstrual cycle and the ups and downs of our hormones throughout the month, just having this cyclical experience of the world. I absolutely love that there are, almost like four different versions of myself that I get to experience every single month. I love the creativity that comes with having a womb, with being a woman, like this connection with creating life and this connection with nature, this connection with the earth. Um, just like, oh my goodness, I could talk about this for ages. But yeah, if I had to say one thing, it would definitely be like the menstrual cycle, the cyclical nature, and all of the different versions of myself that I get to
Mm,
meet every month.
yes, that's beautiful. I love it. I love our menstrual cycle as well. It's a beautiful gift that we have.
It is.
Tell us where we can find you and what do you have on offer?
Yeah, so I am Chloe Stickings on Instagram, And that is the main place where I hang out at the moment. And right now I have spaces open for one-to-one coaching. So I do 2-hour deep dive sessions, and I also have a 12-week coaching program as well. And in June, I'm going to be launching a pelvic care program. So, this pelvic care program is really about releasing the tension from your pelvis. It's about realigning your womb. It's about getting to know your body, really creating safety in your body. We obviously do lymphatic work in that as well. Um, so yeah, I'm super super excited for that to launch in the summer, and yeah, that's me.
That's amazing. That sounds so juicy. I'll put the links in the show notes for everything that Chloe offers and does, so you can check those out. Thank you so much, Chloe, for sharing this time with me. I really enjoy talking about these things that need to be talked more about.
Yeah, thank you so much. I've really really loved this conversation as well.